On March 2004, Amy Lynn Bradley boarded the Royal Caribbean cruise ship The Brilliance of the Seas. She was a 23-year-old college student who had saved up for months to go on this cruise with her family. But when the ship docked in Puerto Rico 4 days later, Amy was nowhere to be found. There were no signs of a struggle, and nobody had seen anything. So how did she disappear without a trace? And why is it that even today her case remains unsolved? Hi, I'm your host, and this is another episode of Real Life Lore. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. The year is 2004 and Amy Lynn Bradley is excited to finally get some sun. The Wisconsin native has been studying hard at Lincoln Land Community College and she feels like a break. It has been 3 years since her father Kent passed away and her mother Rebecca is ready for a little fun in the sun. She and Amy travel down to Florida where they board the massive Royal Caribbean cruise ship called the Brilliance of the Seas along with Rebecca's boyfriend. Two friends of Rebecca's and Amy's older sister, Kristen. Together they head towards the Caribbean. Now Amy and her mother may have booked this trip, but it was definitely Kristen's idea. She works as a travel agent and often encourages her family to go on cruises. But this particular one wasn't cheap and Kristen was happy to pay for Amy's share. This made Amy very grateful and she decided to spoil her sister by giving her a special gift. She buys Kristen a pair of fertility dolls. She knows that her sister desperately wants to have a baby, but her brother-in-law isn't convinced it's a good idea. Amy finds this funny, but Kristen takes it very seriously. Later she will write in her diary, "I am so mad at Amy right now." On March, the ship arrives in Haiti. The family gets off and tours the country, visiting an orphanage and a local market. But soon they are back on board and heading to their next stop, Puerto Rico. On March, the family begins disembarking. Some will fly home and others will head to a hotel. But Amy won't be going anywhere. On the morning of March, Amy goes out to breakfast, but her family isn't hungry. They all retire back to their rooms where they sleep until noon. When they wake up, they realize they can't find Amy. At first they don't panic. After all, the ship is massive and they know she's probably just looking for somewhere to explore. But when Amy still hasn't returned by dinner, they start to get worried. According to Rebecca, there was no argument or fight before Amy left the room. Nothing was stolen, and there were no signs of forced entry. The only thing missing is Amy herself. Worried, Rebecca knocks on her daughter's door and calls her name, but there's no reply. She then contacts the cruise ship staff and reports her missing. A search is conducted, but it comes up empty. Over the next few days, news of Amy's disappearance spreads around the world. Now hundreds of people are searching for her, but it doesn't seem like the police want to help. That's because jurisdiction is a bit tricky here. The FBI doesn't think they can get involved because Amy disappeared outside U.S. waters. And the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico isn't able to launch a full investigation because resources are limited. Amy's family hires a lawyer and returns to the States. They tell the media that the last time they saw Amy was in the Santo Domingo port in the Dominican Republic. They claim the cruise line told them that Amy didn't get off the ship there, but no one can say for sure because the passenger manifest is missing. Now Amy's loved ones are scared that she is dead and that her body has been thrown into the ocean. They try to convince the captain of the cruise ship to turn back, but he refuses, saying it would disrupt the other passengers' vacations. But now everyone is wondering, how did Amy disappear without a trace? Well, we may never know for sure, but there are a few theories. According to some, Amy snuck out of her room while her mom was asleep and then jumped overboard. After all, she had done it before. In 2002, Amy attempted to take her own life by jumping into Lake Michigan. But when a good Samaritan rescued her from the water, she admitted she was just trying to skip town. So maybe something similar happened in Puerto Rico. Maybe she panicked about being away from home, saw the water, and took the drastic measure. But there is another theory. That same day in Puerto Rico, several thousand people got sick from contaminated food and water. Maybe Amy was one of them. Maybe she wandered out of her cabin delirious from food poisoning and then never made it back. Or perhaps someone slipped something into her food or drink. Maybe she was drugged, kidnapped, and taken off the ship by traffickers. But who would kidnap a young woman in broad daylight in front of a busy cruise port? Well, according to some, the answer might surprise you. In 2017, one of the crew members came forward and said he knew what happened to Amy. His name is Joran van der Sloot, and you might remember him from another famous missing persons case. While working on the Brilliance of the Seas, Joran was a deck officer. He was in charge of piloting the ship through tight waters. And according to him, he was also in charge of Amy Bradley's disappearance. Joran says that he planned the crime with 2 other suspects, one of whom was his boss, the captain. On March, after the ship arrived in Puerto Rico, Joran went to Amy's cabin and knocked on the door. It was Rebecca who answered. "Is everything okay?" she asked, assuming that it was a waiter asking about breakfast. "Yes," Joran replied. "I'm here to take care of your daughter." What did Rebecca think he was talking about? No one is sure. But before she could ask any questions, Joran slipped her a pill and she fainted. Then he put her in a sack and carried her off the ship. Joran and his accomplices threw Rebecca into the ocean. Meanwhile, Amy was left on the beach in Puerto Rico, tied up with some planks of wood. Then they dumped her there and flew back to the States. Shockingly, Joran says that neither of them ever returned to the beach to see if Amy was alive. In 2018, Joran is arrested for extortion. He tells the FBI that he'll only reveal what happened to Amy if he is given immunity from prosecution. And so a deal is struck. Joran leads the authorities to where he claims he buried Rebecca's body. But when they dig it up, the bones don't match hers. And Joran says that he lied about Amy. Her body, he says, is in an apartment above an ice rink in Florida. But when the FBI search the apartment, it comes up empty. So what really happened to Amy Lynn Bradley? We may never know for sure. But luckily for us, there are plenty of bizarre mysteries surrounding her case. And I, for one, can't wait to dive into them. Which fact shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend. Subscribe to Real Life Lore for new videos every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 a.m. Arizona time. As always, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.